Chumash?
It's a long one. All right, let's go. 45, page 30, the third aliyah for Mishpatim, page 45, L'chayinu, verse 4. If a man lets his animals loose in a field, v'shilach be'iroi, and lets his animals trample, uvir b'stei acher, and graze in someone else's field, meitav sadeo meitav karmi shalem, he shall repay with the best of his field or his vineyard. Says Rashi, ki yavir as b'ira ubir, a very unusual word. So Rashi says this is all language about animals doing stuff. It's not all the same thing, but it's all animal verbs. We see animals are called bi'irenu. What's kiyavir? So what is the different the nuances? Kiyavir means he basically lets his animals damage somebody else's field or vineyard.
Right.
How? He basically he lets them loose in someone else's field. It could be oy b'shiluch as be'ir, whether it's so. If you look in the pasuk, it's like 3 times says the same thing in different ways. Kiyavir ish, v'shilach es be'iroi ubier b'stei acher. What was the thing? Like you're doing the same thing, saying same thing 3 times? No. The general thing is he's letting his animals loose. In what way is the damage? One of 2 things: v'shilach es be'iroi or ubier b'stei acher. What does that mean? Let's see Rashi. Saying, our rabbis explained, Vishilahu niski midrach kafrego. Shilach is damaging by trampling on the foot. Basically, you let the animal loose and it trampled on the guy's prized cherry tomatoes. Ubier hu niske hashen. Ubier, or he eats the cherry tomatoes with his tooth. He eats and consumes the crops. So now, today's show is brought to you by the word bier and all its derivatives. Bistei acher, what's this, another field of another person. Meitav sadeh yikishalem, he shall pay the rest of his field. Shamnes and nezek, we assess the damage. If he's going to pay him the cost of his damage with land, right. So you got if you're going to pay with real estate, you got to give the best quality real estate. Basically, with there's both money value of land, and then there's just like quality land. For example, a yard of Riviera, oceanside land is very, well, I don't know if that's a good thing. Very irrigated land. So it could be a small amount, but it sells quicker. It's hot on the market because it's more expensive per yard, but it's very good land. Versus an acre of rocky terrain is worth the same, let's say $100, but it's hard to find a buyer because nobody wants to go
climb.
Figure out how to make the rocky ground usable. So you got to give the good quality land. The Torah tells you a very important general rule: nizakin shaman lamidis, that damages are assessed to pay with best quality land.
It seems like a lot of.
It's easier to sell. Good quality land is easier to sell.
If I trample your land, you're my neighbor, and I trample your land's going to recover.
No.
At some point.
That's not the point. The guy had cherry tomatoes.
Yeah.
They're worth $100.
Right.
You ate the cherry tomatoes. Your animal ate the cherry tomatoes. You owe him $100.
So why would I compensate you with land?
If you do, you don't have to. It's just an option. You don't have to give land. We're saying the best is cash. right? The best is cash or barterable tender.
Oh, okay. Well, this doesn't.
It's just saying if you're gonna. It's telling you if you're gonna pay with real estate, with damages you have to pay the best quality land. That's all it's saying. I think ideally, if I'm not mistaken, you should pay with cash. It's just telling you a scenario that if you want to pay with real estate, you got to give the best quality stuff because that's the easy to sell.
First day?
I think your question. I think your question is
yeah.
why are you mixing these two things together? It's two separate points.
Land is a permanent. I guess it comes down to maybe the translation here.
We got to be careful with the translation. Yeah.
If I damage your land, say with the grapes or the wheat or whatever, I trample my animal tramples it.
I damage your fruit.
The first logical response would be to repay with the grapes.
Yeah, that's it.
And the
that's it.
Or the wheat.
That's
right.
it. That's correct.
So to me, that it would be more logical if the verse were saying you repay him with the good grapes and the good wheat from your land, as opposed to the land itself.
Interesting.
You're paying a loss of fruit with fruit, good but good fruit. That's so it may be just a translation issue, but Rashi.
No, I hear your point.
Is if you're repaying him with land, okay.
Yeah. It's a separate halacha.
It separates the vineyard and field. So it could be talking about grapes and other things, produce.
So you got to always look at it in here the way they do it in the kahas. We got to move on, but essentially it's two different halachas in here.
Right.
There's two separate halachas. That's the way a lot of times the Torah will operate. It will not like teach. It's not Rambam. It's not It's not like an encyclopedia. It's kind of very quick, concise, and a lot of things are slapped into one verse.
Right.
There's two lessons here. One is about animal damages. Animals damaging someone's field. You're responsible 100%.
Responsible. That's a lot.
That's one.
Right.
Step two is unrelated but slightly related. If you choose, you got to pay it for the damages.
Right.
How do you pay? Cash. You don't have cash. You're into real estate. Got to give top quality real estate. Easy to sell. That's it. So you're saying, why is it the Torah doing this way? I don't know. But that's the way we understand the two, what the Torah is saying. Okay. Hey, I mean, we say, if we wrote the Torah, we say, I'd rewrite the Torah like Rambam. Right? Like, it's a lot easier to digest it that way. For a reason, Scripture didn't write it like the Rambam. They were in a much quicker, all-encompassing way with a lot of interconnections. Hey, if a fire spreads and it catches onto thorns, and it consumes a gadish, which I have to protest again. Their translation I don't like corn stack. I don't think corn existed back then. Or it means grain, a grain stack, grain heap.
Corn was American Indian.
Or is corn? Could corn be used for grain? That term, or no? It's just. Could you?
I think that's what we've been learning, and that's what we study Chumash,
right? But I don't like the translation. It's a grain stack. Oya kama, or standing grain. Oya sada, or a field of grain. It was all consumed by the fire that you let loose. Shalem yishalem hamavir esabeira. Then you must pay. The one who kindled the blaze must pay. The one who kindled the blaze must pay. Hey. What? Kisei Eish.
Smoky the bear.
Yeah. When a fire spreads, even by itself, so you started in your field, but it went beyond your property. By itself. You didn't try to do that. And it catch onto thorns, very common, right? The thorns can brush, it goes to the brush, and the brush carries it forward. The nechel gadish, and a grain stack is thereby consumed. Basically, again, it went through the thorns and the brush till it got to the next guy's, grain stack or field. What's a field different than a grain stack? Like just another example. The answer is, for example, you don't have grain there, but the guy plowed his field and was ready for. It costs money to have a plowed field, and then there's a fire. It ruins the top layer, so now it has to be replowed again. Shalim Shalim Amavir, then you, the kindler, has to pay. Even though you could say, well, I lit the fire in my fire pit, and somehow it found, thorns and brush till it traveled to the neighbor. You still got to pay because you didn't listen to Smokey the Bear. You did not guard your fire from spreading and doing damage. That was his pop culture reference. Not pop culture, American culture reference. Above. We accept requests on this show. We play different cultural idioms and references. When a man gives his fellow men money. Now we're going to talk about the guardians, custodians of stuff. When you give your friend, or a person gives his friend money, or a kelim, or a vessels lishmar to safekeep a guna ish, and it's stolen from the man's house. If the thief is found, he shall pay double. Vav. If the thief is found, so we're going to mix a couple of laws here together. So one is the guy steals it, you find the thief, great. The thief has to pay double. That's like one scenario of this situation. It was stolen by the custodian says it was stolen from me. If the thief is indeed found, he pays double, as we said. I think we said yesterday. Zayin but the main thing we're talking about is about the status of the claim of the custodians. If the thief is not found, the nikra balabayis al halikim, and the owner of the house shall approach the judges. The owner of the house shall approach the judges. And the owner of the house shall approach the judges. Right? The owner of the object.
No, the owner of the house where the object is stored.
That's what it says?
I think that's what.
What does it say in the cost?
It's chilly in here.
It's a little bit.
Should I turn up one notch?
I'm okay.
Yeah,
If you want.
yeah.
Turn up one notch?
I'm in favor.
What about you?
Whatever you want. Who's the owner of the house?
The consignee, according to the house.
Consignee is the custodian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Must approach the judges.
Right. If
Yes, this is the unpaid bailey.
right. So if he did not, that to state that he did not misappropriate the item.
Yeah.
Rashi, even though it's a so if the thief is not found, then this trustee, whom the verse calls the owner of the house, shall come. Right. By the way, you're right. Says Rashi, exactly. The guardian is the owner of the house. It was his house it was stolen from. And he comes to the judges. He's brought to court. The guy's wants to know the guy didn't touch it. You have to swear that you did not take it yourself or touch it. Sure. Not only did you not take it, they didn't touch it without permission. Because if I lend you my thing, my widget, to watch it, very nice, doing a favor, but you're not allowed to use it. You start playing with the widget, even though you put it back, you're now chayav, whatever happens to it, because that wasn't part of the deal. Stop. It doesn't talk about it here, but it's another issue.
If you touched it and something happened, you got to take care of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh. It's not talking. So you make an oath that it doesn't just mean that you didn't steal it yourself, that you didn't actually even touch it without permission in ways that you weren't supposed to.
Sure.
In every case of dishonesty, whether it involves an ox, a donkey, a sheep, a garment, I'll call Aveda or any lost article. Asher Yemer Kiuza, but the witness says that here is the witness says here is the allegedly lost article. Adli Kim Yovid Varshem. Then the case comes to Elohim, is the judge. Comes before the case comes to the judge. Asher Shin Elohim Yisham Shan Lereu. Whom the judges find guilty shall pay double to his fellow man. What's it talking about here?
Yeah.
Let's see Rashi. Let's follow Rashi to see, and then we'll go back to the verse. In every case of dishonesty, I'll call it Pesha. Sheyamatze shakra mishvasei. So we're saying the verses aren't like, it's not like Rambam. It's a little more cryptic. The case was an unpaid custodian was taken to court to swear that he didn't take it. He swears he didn't take it. Okay? Rashi says, now we're saying there was a case of dishonesty. He was proven he was a liar.
Right.
That he swore falsely. Because Adam came and testified that he himself stole it.
Right.
And the Elohim, the judges, incriminate him by the word of the two witnesses. So then what's the halacha? Yisham Shayim L'Reu, he's got to pay double. Even though we said already, if you steal something, you pay double. But this is like a little different, right? Because like
A lot different.
he stole when it was given to him.
No, but he said didn't do it in the court, and he went against Hashem.
Right, but I'm saying, why do you have to tell me this? Don't we know if you steal something, you're caught, you got to pay double? Why do you tell me this specific like scenario? So I'm not sure. My guess would be is when I go to your house with my burglar mask and I take my sack out with your stuff, then it's okay. Then maybe that's double. But here, the guy basically just has to say, he just uses words like it was stolen.
Yeah, but it's in a basin and it's against Hashem.
No, I'm just saying, why are you saying it's just another form?
Deal.
But it's another form of thievery. We don't say every possible thievery case. Why do you have to give this specific case? Maybe it's because it's a specific
relationship.
It's a relationship. It's right. There's he didn't have to physically steal. He just slide. Whatever. I'm not sure. I'm just pointing it out.
It's shvua, right?
Yeah.
It's against the Torah. He
The
does
thief.
whatever he does.
Right.
That's huge.
Maybe there's a shvua. There's a difference. Okay, could be.
Yeah.
The Emasai, and when is this? This is only when he first swore that it was stolen, and afterwards witnesses came that he stole it. For our rabbis expound the verse, that the owner of the house approaches the judge, and this approaching is when you approach the stand. Approaching the judge means a shvua. Approach the bench.
Yeah.
You say it means for taking it off. This is probably where it comes from.
Yeah, originator.
Yeah.
Right?
Nikrav balabais
Lawyer?
like him. You approach
Approach the judge.
the defendant approaches the judge or the bench of the judge.
Right.
Originator.
That means you have the burden of coming forward. Yeah, it's very it corresponds to a lot of contemporary.
Here it means an oath particularly. It's the oath part of that. The approaching the bench means the oath part.
Oh, well, okay.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Or maybe not. He says, as Rashi says, maybe not. Maybe it means for judgment that once he comes to court and denied liability by saying it was stolen, he's liable immediately to pay double if the witnesses come and testify. Meaning, what did the guy have to do? Did he have to take an oath, or did he have, or just denial alone makes him culpable if he's caught? There's denial. We don't have to take an oath to deny it. Yeah. An oath is like a formal, like a high level denial.
Yeah.
Big deal.
So which one do you have to do in order to be chayiv kefil double payment if you get caught? So he said, for this I answered, the trustee's claim regarding misappropriation is mentioned here in verse 7. And elsewhere in verse 10, it mentions shiluach yad, which it says also about misappropriation. And what does it say there? There by misappropriation, shvuas Hashem tiyeh ben Shem im lo yishalach yadai. The oath of Hashem is between them; they didn't steal. There's a shvua. It says explicitly. Here it just said you approach the bench im lo yishalach yad. Right? You approach the judge that you didn't shalach yad, you didn't misappropriate. Mm-hmm. We don't know what approach the judge means. It could mean just denial. Right. It could mean oath. But since elsewhere it says the similar term, Gzeira Shav is similar language, you can learn a context elsewhere.
Oh, that means you swear.
So it means there's this clearly the case was the denial of a misappropriation with shavua. It said it clearly. Okay. That's the answer.
Right.
Ma'alahalan shvua afkan shvua. Just like there was shvua, so to here is shvua. Making sense?
Okay.
Okay. And this is again another cryptic verse the Rashi shows. Asher Yemer ki huzeh, that he says this is it. What? Who says what? So according to the simple meaning, what does it mean? Rashi says that the witness who we mentioned, the witness comes and says ki huzeh. Shnishbait alav harihu atzlacha ad adiyan diavad varshneim. So basically, it's a very, very shorthand. But if you would read it, it would be something to the effect of, we're talking about witnesses. There's a pesha here. Pesha means there's a crime. He was busted. He was busted. How do you get busted? Witnesses. So there's witnesses already in the picture already. And the witnesses are saying, ki huzeh, this is it. This Rolex is the one that was stolen. Okay. That he said was right. He said it was stolen.
He said it was missing.
Right. Okay. So what happens next in the very shorthand verse? It says, Yovad Varshneim. The court, this claim of the witness comes to the court about the case of the and they investigate the witness if it's true, and if indeed the witness is kosher, and then what do? Next part of the cryptic verse, Asher Shiun. They criminalize the custodian, and that to what they incriminate him and make him pay double. But if they investigate the witnesses and they incriminate the witnesses were lying because the witnesses then they have to pay double because they're trying to cheat the custodian out of it. So it's kind of a double. It's very short, but someone's going to pay double here. I mean, there's other ways of making it like a deadlock case, but there's two very viable possibilities. Either the witness's testimony stands and the guy, the custodian, is to pay double because he's a thief now, or they're proving they were trying to out him the money because they're lying witnesses. They're zayim, and then they got to pay it. Now that is the simple meaning. You're getting bang for your buck. Your Gemara bang for your buck. You're beyond your dreams. But Rabbi Seinu Zechem L'Bracha Darshu Ki Huzeh. Our rabbis of blessed memory, they expounded Ki Huzeh. You know what Ki Huzeh means? It's a whole nother halacha. It's a whole huge topic in halacha. There's a term called moed b'mikzas. Moed b'mikzas in the Gemara means it's not about custodians. It's any type of claim. Any claim. You owe me $100, and you say, I only owe you 50. Moed, you admitted partially mixas. So this is the case. This is the source of it. So it's they're reading into the case another halacha that the custodian said. The same meaning it's the witness comes and says that's the stolen, that's the alleged Rolex, allegedly stolen. That's the simple meaning. It's straightforward. The midrash of halacha is not just story. Midrash and halacha is also expounding peculiar language for halacha as well. It's saying that the custodian said
$100.
there was $100. That 50 in the table is what I got, and the rest was stolen. You said I owe you 100. 50 was that, and 50 other was stolen. Ki huzeh, this is yours. I don't know how. It's obviously big Gemara how they do that, but that's kind of what the source of. And what's the halacha by moed mixas? We learn a huge halacha here. Is that what's the halacha of my making a claim of 100? You admit 50. You have to make an oath biblically, not rabbinically, biblically. It's a biblical obligation. When I come to you and I say $1,000,000, if you deny it biblically, you're believed. You walk away because the logic is you wouldn't lie to my face in court. Like you'd be too embarrassed or something like that. So when I come to you and say you owe me 100, you say 50, what are you doing? You're trying to have you assuage your guilt, or assuage your guilt of not lying 100% to the guy's face like a brazen liar. But you're trying to keep a little bit for yourself. So the Torah says you got to make a scriptural oth for that. They read into the psychology of people.
Is that only in the trustee situation?
No, it's not. No, not. It's any. That's what I'm saying. It's expounded. The trustee is the original case file, but it's expanded to any type of claim.
Rabbi, question.
Kafir bako, total denial, biblically, you're putter. You're exempt from. You have to swear. You just walk away.
So how did they make this
They-
logical leap? That this is
They're
not
saying
just
that the
a-
kihu zeh can also be read as that the Bailey is saying, this is what I have, and the rest was stolen.
So the kihu's
Is it the Bailey is saying? It's a secondary way of
in
reading.
this passage. Kihu's is what the finder, the witness.
The Bailey,
Okay.
a secondary way of reading these verses is the Bailey is saying, this, you say, I owe you 100, you gave me 100 to watch.
Right.
This is what I got, and the rest was stolen. So this
Okay.
is here,
Okay.
and some was stolen.
Right.
So it's a partial admission.
Okay.
Yeah, that partial admission means that they believe him, right? Because he's not
Actually, it's an
lying.
issue.
He's not lying completely, right?
Right.
So they believe him. The 50 and the 50, right? He says, I don't owe you 100, I owe you 50.
Right.
Because of that, they believe him.
They
That's
don't.
the halacha,
They don't.
right?
We don't believe him.
No, but he admitted half, so that's the reason why they do, I thought.
So make sure I'm not missing an appointment. I'm good. Okay.
You first there what I'm saying? Or no?
This is like the Rashi says here. They expounded the words kihuzah to teach us that we do not impose upon him an oath
Unless
he partially admits to the owner's claim. So it's just saying even the trustee doesn't have to take an oath unless he's partially admitting.
so
I can see that. Okay.
it's both. It's two separate cases. It's both. The truth, I believe, the Bailey, if he claims a stone, he has to make. There's different oaths for different reasons. So there's an oath in the category of custodians. It's a big category.
Mm-hmm.
I trusted you. It was stolen. Swear. That's for that aspect. But there's another aspect they learn, which is a case origination for other claimants, that it's about partial admission. So it seems like it's playing both ends. It's like we're learning it in a simple way. As a case of Bailey, swearing it was stolen. That's one. But the fact, I guess, my assumption, the way the Midrash works is like, it's such a weird way of saying it. It must be teaching us something, a bonus. But it's not limiting a Bailey has to make an oath only when he does a partial admission. If he made a Bailey, if he made a total denial, he still has to, for his aspect, not as a denier, but as a guardian. To make sense. This is a Rambam. We'll get into this in like 2 years.
I think I can analogize it in civil law, but okay. Well, there's a law thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the Bailey.
Okay, let's go on. Tess.
Yeah.
Man gives his fellow man a donkey, an ox, a sheep, or any animal for safekeeping, and umeis to guard it. Umeis or it dies or is injured or seized without any eyewitnesses. What's going on here? If a man gives his fellow man a donkey or an ox, so it sounds very repetitious. We just said that. Your brain has to work on a few layers when you learn Chumash and Rashi, right? The simple verse. What's the simple verse? You're giving your friend something to watch. We just talked about that, right? So it can't be the same case. The first scenario in the previous verses was talking by a shomer chinam, a unpaid custodian, Bailey. Therefore, he is exempt if he claims it's stolen, as was written. Okay, so basically, just summarize what we just said. In very short, the verses were the guys didn't say clearly. It doesn't say this is shomer chinam, unpaid. But we can use our brain to say that was a case of unpaid. So what happens when the claiming it's stolen? He goes to court, he swears it was stolen, he's off the hook. The second verse now in 9, 10, 11 is going to talk about a paid Bailey, a shomer sachar. Therefore, he's not exempt if it was stolen, as it's written. He's not exempt if it was stolen, as it's written. Im ganoiv yiganev mimei yishalem. It was actually stolen from him, he shall pay its owner. So you hear your thing? The next verse is going to say in verse 11 ends this case. It says what happens? It was stolen. He's got to pay. He has to pay. So it must be a different type of guardian. When you say it's a theft and you're putter, that's by an unpaid bailee. Here we're talking about a paid bailee. That's what it ends up. If he says it's stolen, he's got to pay. But for something beyond control, a freak accident, for example, or it was it was injured or seized forcibly by robbers, by armed robbers, and there's no eyewitnesses that should testify about it. So Yud, verse 10. An oath of God shall be between these two guys, the bailee and the owner of the object, that he did not touch it with his hand. His friend's property. And then the owner shall accept the oath, and the guy, the trustee, the bailee, does not have to pay. Says Rashi, the bailee shall swear that what he said, what he said happened was true. He shall swear that what he said happened was true. And that he did not misappropriate the entrusted object using it for himself. Because if it did not, he didn't misappropriate it, and then he got a freak accident happened to it, then he'd be chayiv. So there's another halacha. So again, this is Torah Shabbal Peh. It's the Gemara telling you what it's talking about with a little bit of deduction, but essentially, it's saying he swears and he's off the hook. So what does he swear? Again, what does he swear? He never touched it inappropriately. Because once he used it for himself, he started playing the video game that was entrusted him with permission. He's chayiv anything that happens to it, because now you're borrowing it essentially. Okay, and then you're chayiv even if a freak accident happens to it because you're a borrower. You weren't paid to be a borrower. You're paid to be a watcher.
Can't touch it.
Now, if you swear that you never touched it, and an accident happened, we're saying that verse is talking about an accident, then you're off the hook. An accident was a freak accident.
Yeah,
Not negligent.
This is fun, kind of very appropriate. You know what that's called in the modern civil law? It's called an act of God.
You're saying if I'm
specific, there's a lot of
right,
law, an act
right,
of God.
right, unavoidable freak accident, freak nature.
Yeah.
Isn't act of God usually nature? Isn't always exclusively to nature, natural disaster?
Well, dies, injury, seizure, or seized
by robbers, by armed robbers. It's beyond the act of God. It's even things that are like beyond your control.
Right. Okay.
Rabbi, I thought if he touched it and something happens, he's liable.
So we're saying if he there for us to swear that he swears that he didn't touch it, and that's why he's putter.
Oh, I thought you said he did. Okay.
Sure. Rashi, and the owner takes the oath. It's funny. The owner takes. It's unusual. Like he accepts the oath. It says the owner takes it. Takes what? He's not getting it. Right. It's saying the owner takes it, but the guy doesn't pay. Taking what?
I thought I was reading this that the owner is accepting the oath.
So, yeah, that's what I mean.
Of the trustee.
That's what it means. Yeah. But the literal word of lakach means take. Again, etymology.
Okay.
It's weird. Like he takes. Doesn't say what he takes it.
Okay.
He takes it. So we're saying he takes the guy's word, essentially the guy's oath.
Instead of the property, he's taking.
He has the property's not here. The it's not here.
Taking the oath, right?
And says regularly, the guy doesn't pay him, so he's not getting anything. Right. So what's he taking?
But I mean,
he's taking an oath.
Right. Okay.
Trust him.
Below Yishalim. Like Hebrew is a very rich language. You realize like Hebrew is such a concentrated language, you know. Below Yishalim. and he, the trustee, does not pay anything. However, that's verse 10. Verse 11, though, gives another scenario. If you're going to be as we said earlier, if the shomer sachar, the paid Bailey, claims it was stolen, for that he's on the hook. He has to pay to the owners because that's why he was paid. You're paid, that's trying to get stolen. It pays im tarif you tarif aid, but if he claims it was mauled by a wolf, watching a sheep, and
that would be an act of
then he shall provide witnesses. He does not need to pay for the mauled animal. Says Rashi, im tarif you tarif, if it was in fact torn through a wild beast, chayra, yiveo aid, he shall bring it as a witness. Yavi aidim shitr fa'bainis pater. He shall bring witnesses that it was mauled in circumstance beyond his control, then he's free of liability. He shall bring witnesses that it was mauled in circumstance beyond his control, then he's free of liability. Yeah. Hatreif is not paid for the mauled animal. It said here he doesn't pay for the mauled. Why not a mauled? Like the. Fine, in a certain case of mauled, he is chayav for. So what is it? If it's from a wild, dangerous bear, tie, just as words. Lions and bears, no tiger. We have wolf instead. And a nachash ain't a misham. And the snake, you can't. The cobras, you don't have to you have to risk your life to protect a sheep from a cobra. Umi l'chosh chaladun came. I'm sorry, I skipped. A treifa, if it was mauled by a weasel, a fox, or a cat, then you're chayv. You should not let the fox. You're strong in the fox. You could take a broom, but for lions, tigers, and bears, you're patur from. Who whispered to you who told you this? To make this distinction, it's written in Mason Ishba Nishba Mami Seshin because just like in the first verse, it said a case of death or captivity. I'm sorry, death. It said death, captivity, or seizure. I'm sorry. Death, injury, or seized by a robber. So death is an act of God. He would have liked this. You can't avoid it. So too the other things in that sentence have to be forms of seizure or injury that you could not have done anything with. I'm going to tell him when he gets back. He missed the good stuff. Mm-hmm. Next verse. Now we're talking about the borrower. If a man borrows something from his fellow man and it breaks a mace or dies, he must pay since its owner was not working for him.
Tell him, Rabbi.
So you missed something you would have liked. Rashi distinguished between an act of God you could have avoided and an act of God you could not have avoided. For example, if it gets injured by a fox, the sheep that you're watching, you're chayav for, because you could have taken a broom and swat away the fox.
Right.
But if a tiger comes, you're patur because you couldn't have taken a broom. And how does he know that? We know it from the previous verse. It puts in the same in verse 10. It puts in the same sentence a mace, umace, the animal dies, nishbar, injured, or nishba, or seized. So it says death clarifies the type of seizure and injury that make you exempt for. Death you can't control. So too, we're talking about seizure or injury that you could not control. But if you could have controlled it, because it was a fox, then you're chayiv.
Right.
So the verse actually distinguishes what you call act of God. There's avoidable or unavoidable. Right. Reasonably avoidable or unreasonably avoidable.
Right. Right.
I mean,
the same concept would carry through, I think, to regular modern
right.
law.
Yeah, that's why he's telling you. Right. Because he wanted you to.
Okay, now we're talking. Verse 13 is the borrower. The guy borrows from his friend, and the thing breaks or dies. The owners are not with him. Is another caveat. Then in the case of the borrower, Shalom Yishlam has to pay. Rashi. A man borrows. The verse comes to teach you about one who borrows an object and he's liable for accidental loss or damages. A borrower is chayiv for accidental things. Its owner is not with him. If the owner of the ox was not working with the borrower, the owner of the owner of that, I'm thinking. So it's a very big caveat. That's like but basically it's telling you borrowers are chayiv for everything. There's one caveat: if the owner was hired with the lawnmower, right? The owner was your butler and you borrowed your butler's lawnmower, then even if you break it, you're off the hook. It's scriptural.
There.
He's there. It's maybe it's implicit in the relationship of the borrower. I'm not sure. It could be just
the owner.
it could just be it's a scriptural decree. It doesn't have to be 100% logic. I don't know. Let's go on.
Why
Let's see Rashi. If the owner is working with him with the lawnmower, or even not on the lawnmower, he's doing pruning, and you're using the lawnmower you borrowed from your landscaper. Well, your Yerushalmi does not need to pay. Imsacher who, now this is a controversial last three words. Imsacher, if the item is rented, by bischari, it was received for its rent. If it was rented, it was received for its rent. So they say therefore the renter is not totally liable. So the renter is basically like an afterthought to this whole discussion we're explicit about unpaid Bailey, paid Bailey, borrower, and the renter, he's involved in this transaction because he's paying for it, he's renting. What's the law? We don't know yet. So let's talk first about the borrower. Let's finish up the discussion of the borrower. If the owner is working for him, whether it be the same work, whether the borrower is doing it or another work, whether it be in the same work that the borrower is doing or other work. Also, if he was working for him at the time, and he is not need to be working for him at the time was damaged or died. Yeah. You hire the guy to do the time he lends you his lawnmower, you hire him to your snowplow. I think.
Lawnmower and snowplow, what did you say?
You have a landscaper. You hire him to your snowplow. And you say, I want to save some money. You lend me a lawnmower. Lend me your lawnmower and I'll do my yard. So it sounds like the fact that you hired the guy at the time, even the winter, I'm wrong. Yeah. You hire your plumber, goes to do a plumbing job for you. Say, could you lend me your lawnmower? Your friend's a plumber. I want to, in 1 month, I want to do the lawn. The fact that the lender worked for you in the period of getting the item till you break it or use it or through your usual, it makes you exempt. I don't know, but that's not logic. It's just that's not because that's when.
That's the way it is.
The idea that I get from this is it's more of a casual relationship than a business relationship. You're out there working together on a project, and he's got a tool. He's got a tool that you need, and you borrow it from him. It says
if he was working for you at the time of borrowing, so actually he has to be working for you when you
owner.
Yeah. When you borrow your friend's lawnmower, and at that time of borrowing, he's also pruning your hedges. And then let's say a week later you break his lawnmower, you're exempt. You're exempt.
If the owner's there.
Even if he's not there then. Even if he's not there. That's the point. You hire him on Sunday to prune your hedges, and you borrow his lawnmower. On Tuesday, you break his lawnmower.
And he's not there.
And he's not there.
A better analogy would be a scythe. They're out in the field.
Yeah.
cutting down crops, and they're working together. It's not like he has to go back to his garage and get the lawnmower. You're out there working and with the tools or with you, and you're lending your tools to a coworker. That makes sense.
Not coworker,
he's
owner of the
working
field.
with you. He's working.
That's
with
that's
you.
the that's exactly the Gemara is saying. It's not. It's going beyond that. That's a good point.
Right.
You hire a guy to cut you hire a guy to cut your scythe, to cut your wheat.
Right.
Okay. You say, "Can I borrow your other scythe?"
Right.
Day one goes great. The next day he doesn't come. The worker wasn't supposed to, but you're the owner. You go take the borrowed scythe. You continue doing it. You break his scythe because you borrowed that scythe at the time he was working with you, even though it's breaking at a later point, you're putter. When it's at the same time, it's much more understandable.
I think it. Yeah, I just think it's a more casual co-working relationship. You're out there in the field.
Weiter gefahren. Let's go. Weiter gefahren. We gotta go further.
Right.
This is my cheder. My teachers who spoke Yiddish. They're like weiter gefahren. All right. Im sacher
I'll take that as a compliment.
Don't be too offended. If he was rented, so if the case before was not a borrowing situation, where it was a rented, the ox, Bob Eschar came through the rental agreement. And thus the benefit from the ox is not entirely his, for only by paying its rent to the owner is he using it. Yeah. So because he's not getting a free pleasure from it, he's giving something for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, he doesn't have the same liability as a borrower to be liable for all accidents. Now the problem is we didn't end up saying, okay, he's not like a borrower, but who is he like? Is he like a unpaid bailee who has the most minimal obligation, or is it the paid bailee that has medium obligation? And therefore, therefore, the rabbis in the sages in the Gemara argue how liable is a renter. But Meir says he's like a shemer chinam. The other says he's like a shemer sachar. It's an argument. The famous Sicha, I'll bet it's in the books you have. The Rabbi analyzed a beautiful analysis about this, both spiritual but also legal. Tezvav. It's just going to end. It's not going to end. Okay. Tezvav. Chiyafat ish besula asher loy oirasav v'shachima. If a man seduces a virgin who is not betrothed v'shachima and lies with her, mahor yimarena loy lisha. He must take her as a wife with a full marriage contract. Chiyafata. If a man seduces a virgin, midabra liba al shashemasle, he basically seduces her until she agrees. Chen targum v'ari yishadel, if he persuades. Shida b'lashanami kifiti b'lashan ivri. So it was consensual, but it was through persuasion. What if she persuaded him? I don't know. Not sure. Mari merena, he shall assign for her a dowry. He shall assign her a dowry, as is the practice for a man to give to his wife. He shall write for a marriage contract to marry her. He shall assign her a dowry, as the practice for man. Right, a dowry, and he has to marry her. If her father objects to the marriage, refuses to give her, then he has to pay money. It's like the monetary payment for maidens, which was a set 50 silver shekels, which we'll say later when someone takes a virgin and rapes her. As it says, the man who lies with the girl shall give the father 50 silver shekels. I believe he doesn't have to marry her. He's allowed to just pay as well. He doesn't have to marry her.
I think you're right.
Sounds here like he must. Sorry. Doesn't say anything. If she doesn't want to marry him or her father refused to give her. I thought that he also doesn't have to. Okay, whatever. Moving along. Tazayin. If we said Zayin. Mechashev l'sechayim must not let a sorceress live. Mechashev l'sechaya, rather she must be put to death by court. This applies to male wizards or female witches. El shidibra kazabayva. But the pasuk, the verse talked. What was common. It was very common for women to be practice witchcraft. Yudches kol sheichim b'hem. Whoever lies in an animal must be put to death. Bestiality. Rashi b'skila, put to death by stoning. Reveh kinabas, the same law for a man who's with an animal or a woman. Because it says demand, it says later their responsibility is on both of them.
Well, never thought of this, but witchcraft is a vodazora too. Think about it. You're giving this getchki.
I don't know. Could be a good question. I'm not sure.
I never thought of it.
Could be.
No? Okay.
It would sound like you're right. I just don't know the details.
It's okay. It's okay.
He who sacrificed to idols, they must be put to death. Only Hashem alone may you sacrifice to. La'elohim. Unusual way of writing. La'elohim means for idols, not to God, but to idols. If it said Le'elohim with a tzere, then you'd say Elohim achedim, as we said earlier. But now it says Elohim. You don't have to say others. It means just deities. Every lamed base includes the beginning of the word. If it has a chat of a shva, lamelech, lamidbar, leir, you have to specify which king, which desert, which city. Similarly, lamlachim and legolim. Similarly, for festivals, for kings or festivals, it's necessary to define which kings or festivals. And if it does not define it, then all kings or festivals are implied. Similarly, le'elohim implies all gods, even as used in a holy sense, the one God. But when there's a lamed or base prefix with a patach, lamelech, lamidbar, la'ir, it is known which king, which desert, which city is being spoken of. Right? So if he says le, it means to a king. If it says la, it's to the king, to some king we've been talking about, some desert specific king. So to here, Elohim means to those deities we were warned about already. And kamocha kalihim. Okay. And because of that, it didn't have to specify with a patach. I'm sorry, it was necessary. It has a patach or a kamatz, whatever. Kamatz or patach. Okay, small detail. Yochram, the guy who sacrificed the deities, is put to death. Why do you say Yochram? Then we said you get put to death. You do idol worship. Why are you saying Yochram? It says elsewhere in Deuteronomy, you should take a woman or this man out to be stoned. So why are you telling me this? Rather, why to say it twice that idol worshippers get put to death? Because it didn't specify which type of worship gets you liable for death. If it didn't say, you could say any type of service of worship automatically is considered death penalty. So here comes no. Only the type of worship that is normal for that, like Zovech Leikim, which is slaughtering, sacrificing. Meaning, it took an example. Sacrificial things and you do for God in the temple. So too, anything else done for God in the temple, by the Mizbeach, that if you do it to a idol, that you get chayav for. For example, not just slaughtering, also incense or pouring wine. Then those are chayav for any type of idol. You do those things. You do temple staple worship for idols. Bam, death penalty. whether that is the normal way to serve that idol or not. For example, person goes to an idol that the only way you serve it is by giving it fruit. And you say, I'm going to slaughter a cow for it. She'd say, maybe you're off the hook because you didn't do the normal fruit offering for it. No, because these are universal temple exclusive rites. If they're done for any idol, they are going to be chayiv. Personally chayiv. But other things like offering a fruit bowl, for example, I'm going to get him a nice fruit basket, is, or like, for example, sweeping the idol, sprinkling water to keep dust from rising, embracing it, kissing it. That does not bear the death penalty, only it's a prohibition. If where it's not the usual form of idol worship. Right, chaf. I think afterwards we have to go get lunch. I'm Alex or something because I can't. Sorry.
Here is harem, right?
Yocharam.
No,
Cherem, yeah, condemned.
Right.
Condemned. The next page. You must not taunt or persecute a proselyte, a ger. For you were foreigners in the land of Egypt. Next page. Next page. Page 54. Actually, not page 55. Rashi.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The ger lo yisayna, you must not abuse a proselyte. This is verbal abuse. You cannot do verbal harassment to a ger. In French, we call contrarier, to taunt. As we see in V'achalti es manayach, I'll feed the flesh of those who taunt you. We see the term monayach is taunting. Don't persecute him by stealing money from him. Don't steal his lunch money. For you were foreigners. You insult him. You're going to use like you come from you came from some pagan cannibal tribe. You think you're Jewish now. He could taunt you back. He'd say, you too come from Gerim. You also were foreigners in Egypt. Very interesting, right? Because we too know the pain of being a foreigner. So don't project your pain on someone else. As we say, a fault that you have, don't project on your friend. Every term ger in scripture refers to a person who's not born in that country, but who came from a different country to live there. Yeah. So a ger, you want to know the most elemental meaning of ger? Ger means a foreigner, a newcomer.
Isn't this the attitude that the sages took toward Yitro and his descendants when they were discussing Pinchas? They were discussing Pinchas's ancestry, and they made fun of Yitro, and they were comparing,
Well, I'm sorry, I spaced out. What did you say?
They were taunting.
Who's taunting?
The rabbi, the sages, the rabbis, talking about Pinchas and arguing about his ancestry.
Pinchas.
And
the rabbis didn't taunt him.
Denigrating
the rabble.
Yitro.
The mob.
Rabbis and ours.
The rabbis didn't. I mean,
I
don't know. It was a segment. The segment of society was saying, Pinchas, you were bloodthirsty because you come from a grandfather who used to do, bloodthirsty things.
Right.
And
Yitro was a convert.
And Yitro was there. And so pre his conversion, he did all these type of sacrifices, cruel or not.
So that's a bad attitude under this.
That's bad, right?
Under this.
Yeah.
It even says Yisro's a false.
Yeah. Treat him with the respect.
Chaf Aleph, ki alman of Yasam Leisanun, call alman of Yasam Leisanun, don't afflict any widow or orphan. Rashi. Call alman of Yasam Leisanun, you must not afflict any widow or orphan. There's also the law regarding any person, but the verse specifies a widow and orphan because it speaks about what commonly occurs. Since they are of weak disposition, it is a common occurrence that people afflict them. Can't taunt anybody, but how much more so the vulnerable? If you indeed afflict him, then I will punish you. For he repeatedly cries, if he cries out to me, Shema Eshma Takasa El heed his cry. Rashi Anatana say, how does he make it? This is a threat. This is abbreviated verse. It threatens, but does not say the punishment. For example, like Cain. Whoever kills Cain doesn't say what will happen. Gizim means threatens, doesn't say doesn't specify what the punishment will be. So Tim Anatana say Lashon Gizum, it's a threat, as if to say your end will be you'll get your just desserts. What will that be? It means a threat. Like if you taunt him, you better watch out, because he will surely cry out to me. Chav Gimel, almost done. I'll show you my fury and I'll kill you by the sword. I'll flame my anger and I will kill you with the sword. Your wives will remain widows, and your children orphans. Says Rashi. I had an idea, I want to forget. I think this Shabbos we should make a kiddush in honor of all Jewish lawyers. Mishpatim.
For Mishpatim. Yeah.
Invite some to come to show.
Civil lawyers. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We'll talk about it after mine. These ideas might actually work. And your wives remain widows, and your children orphans. Okay, says Rashi, meaning the fact is I will kill you. Obviously, you're gonna have your wives will be widows, your children orphans, right? So why is it saying that? It's another curse. Is that on top of you being dead by God, the hand of God, that your widows will be agunais, basically. They'll be living widows because they won't have witnesses to the death of their husbands, and they'll be ushered to remarry. And your children will be orphans, living orphans. They won't be allowed to seize their father's assets because it will be proof of his final death. Chavdam kesef talvas ami, when you lend money. Kesef talvas ami, when you lend money, es ani imach lo yisila kinesha. When you lend money, you shall lend it to my people. When you lend money, lend it to my people, to the poor who lives with you. You should not be a creditor to him. Don't impose interest. Rashi. And kesef talvas ami, do not, if you lend money to my people. Yishmael says, every if in the Torah is a optional, except for three. And this is one of the three. If is usually if, it's like conditional. But here it means when. Esami, Ami Vinochri, my nation comes first. Meaning if you have an option to lend money to a Jew or to a non-Jew, you should lend to a Jew.
Yeah.
Ani v'asher, a rich man or a poor man. He said, Ani, the Ani comes first. The poor man comes first. Ani yecha v'ani irecha, you're poor of your family or your neighbors. The poor, you're not your family, they're your neighbors. Your family comes first. The ani irecha, the people that are poor of your city, and the poor of another city. Ani irecha kodim, then the poor of your city comes first. V'zeh mishmashmoi im kes talvas ami. This is the meaning. If money you will lend my people, then you should lend to them first, not to a non-Jew. Which are my people? The poor. Which type of poor? Your family. And then if not that, your city people. Another way of looking at it is ami. Remember, you're lending God's people money. Do it respectfully.
Amen.
As ani imach, the poor person with you, look at yourself as if you were the poor person. Really powerful. Another way of interpreting these terms. You must not act towards him like a creditor. You must not forcibly claim the loan from him. If you know that it doesn't belong to him, if you know that he doesn't have any money, it shouldn't be in your eyes like if you know he has no money to pay, do not make yourself appear to him as if you have lent him, Rather, Piridim is if you're not lent him in order not to embarrass him. Meaning, not only basically you treat him as if he's not doesn't owe you anything. If he doesn't have the money. Neshech ribis is called interest. Is written neshech. Why? It's called like a bite of a snake, because a snake bites a small incision under the foot. You don't notice, and suddenly it spreads and it swells up to the crown of your head. Poison. So too, ribis, interest, is not noticeable at first until it mounts up, and then it really makes the guy go into bankruptcy and lose a lot of money. 58. If you repeatedly take your fellow man's garment as a pledge, then you must return it to him to keep until sunset. If you repeatedly take your fellow man's garment as a pledge, you shall return it to him until sunset. Yeah.
Where's the Hebrew for the repeatedly?
Chavel tachbo. Take a pledge.
Okay.
Chavala means take a pledge. So it does not mean a pledge at the time of loan. We're talking here where you seize collateral when the due date comes, the guy doesn't pay up.
Right.
So I think pledge at the time of lending, you don't have to give back to him. You can keep that in your shop. We're talking seized collateral.
Stuff that he needs that day, too.
Boy, then we're saying if it's seized collateral that he needs that day, then you have to give it to him every single day. Why does it say twice, seizing collateral? Hashem said, basically interesting. Why does it say repeatedly, chavel tachbo? It's almost as God is saying to you, wait a second, what a bother. I'm seizing collateral from this poor guy. Every day I have to give him his work clothes. I'm seizing his overalls. So I got to give it to him every day and then take it by night.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what an annoying bother. So God says, I do the same thing. I take your soul every day and I give it to you every day. You do it. It's a bother, but you can live with it. You owe it to me. You shall return it to him until sunset. Every day you got to return it to him, his overalls, till the sun goes down. When the sun comes down, then you go take it again till the morning. And we're talking here by a day clothes. Chavav, last pasuk, for it is only cloak. The guy's a poor guy. He only has his overalls to work. It's his only shirt to clothe his skin. What will he lie? When he'll cry to me, I will heed his cry because I'm compassionate. Rashi. This is his garment. This is his upper cloak. Simlase means the undergarment. Mazel tov.